Hello and welcome back to another episode of Nick Tiffany's Movie Reviews, coming at you online and in print format at nicktiffany.com, in audio format wherever you get your podcasts, and even in video on YouTube, Reels, TikTok, all that good stuff. All those social medias you can find us. Today we're talking about a film that I was eager to catch up on because I missed it probably in its first couple weeks of release, but was one that, having watched the trailer, looking at the cast, being a British comedy film, I'm always game for what the Brits are doing. And the film we're talking about today is Wicked Little Letters. There's a little town of Littlehampton, somewhere, I'm assuming, over in England, which, we get the impression they're somewhere over there in England, Littlehampton. All of these horrible letters start being sent to this woman, Edith, who's played just perfectly by Olivia Colman. Both in the sense that she's perfect in the way that she can react and perfect in the way that she does everything. That's why she has an Oscar. Edith is the receptor of all of these just horrible things said about her. And, in graphic detail, you large fannied, daughter of a whore, it's comical to a degree, some of the things that are being said as you're listening to them, and just, there's very much that English, like, I cannot read this. This is just, I'm agog, I'm aghast. A man must read this, please. I won't soil my words with such degradation. But so all of these letters keep coming to her, and the town is wondering who could be writing these horrible things. This is a criminal offense. It's libelous. It's something that needs to be done. Everybody in the town has this sneaking suspicion that the person writing these letters is Rose Gooding, played by Jessie Buckley. Rose is an Irish implant, the sore thumb in their town. She is foul-mouthed, tells it as it is, has no problem, circumventing authority, has no problem with who she is. And, being the one Irish lass in that land, obviously everybody already has a lot of opinions about her. And she, for them, is reinforcing a lot of their opinions they had about the Irish people. And so very early on, you already get the impression that, all right, well, they're setting her up for it. Whether or not it feels like she did it, a lot of the language in the letters certainly matches with the foul words that come out of Rose's mouth. And what starts is sort of this exploration in the town of some people obviously feeling like, oh, but there's no way that she couldn't have done it. And then some people feeling like, well, maybe that's a little bit too easy. Could we consider some different people? You've got Timothy Spall, who plays Edward, the father of Edith. He is always kind of in the background, very opinionated, has lots of thoughts, obviously, about his own daughter, but also about this Irish woman, about all these letters that are happening, the godlessness of it all. And what really struck me most about this film, because I went into it expecting a silly comedy, we're going to be figuring out who's writing these horrible letters. There's going to be humor and obviously the absurdity of what is being said in those letters, and in the delivery, I feel like, of Olivia Colman and Jessie Buckley, because both of them are just at the top of their comedic games here. But what stood out to me, or what I feel like I started noticing throughout it, and then just kind of took over as far as the story or the overall message for me, was observing just how at this time, I think it's taking place around a similar time as the suffragette movement's going on. You've got women who are starting to take on roles in society post-war. Obviously, the men have all come back, and there's just a lot of opinions about a woman's place, about what kind of work she should be doing. Just so many horrible and degrading things said, just so casually, and so like, oh, well, a woman should never be doing this anyways, so that's probably why this is happening. And on the other side of things, you have all of these women who have worked in factories now, who have done the jobs that the men did while they were away at war. Women who have a purpose, who have a voice, who are so capable and are just dismissed almost at every turn by so many of these older white men. I'm just saying white, I guess, because that's where they were common everywhere. These older men who, as we have seen across all of society, they hate giving up their power. There's nothing more threatening to a man than losing what little bit of power he has left over women, over other men, over whomever. It's like after watching the movie Origin, I'm just like, caste system everywhere. Even the guys, it's like, okay, if I can't demean a woman in my job right now, if there's not a woman who can go and make me tea and do the things that a woman would do, well, then I'm going to make my underling man go do those things for me. And it'll be humiliating for him, because how humiliating that you have to go do something that a woman does. It's just like, it's frustrating sometimes. Like watching the movie a little bit, my wife and I were kind of like a little frustrated too, just because it was just, it's that side of history that the more you read about, the more upset you get sometimes, because the further removed we feel from that, and I'm not going to say we're entirely removed from that, because we still clearly see sexism in all fronts across the world today. But when you are 100+ years out from whenever this was, there's this common thought that I'm sure a lot of people have, where it was like, it wasn't that long ago that people were marching for the civil rights movement. It wasn't that long ago that women got the right to vote. It wasn't that long ago that people in this country had slaves, And I say all of that in the sense that, as much as it seems like, oh, we're 100 years, 200 years away from this, like surely you would hope things have changed and people would be better. You also wonder how people could have been so cruel, how people could say and do those things and really mean that. And then you're like, oh, well, no, today we see tons of examples of that. People trying to cling on to that power, people trying to manipulate and exploit other people weaker than them or in positions less fortunate than them. And a lot of that also comes down to just, looking at the central piece of this film. Oh, it's probably the Irish lady. Looking at this woman who comes into their peaceful little village. She's foul-mouthed, disrupting the status quo and this whole idea of what it is to be ladylike and what it is, maybe men can tell these stories and say these things, but God forbid a woman say the same. The double standards at every turn are just absurd, and they just continue to mount through the film. But Jessie Buckley kills it. She is so unapologetic in her behavior and how she handles things, and there's so much raw power just in that sense of just, F the patriarchy. It's absurd how you're treating women. It's absurd how you try to relegate things. Anjana Vasan plays Gladys Moss, police officer Gladys Moss in the film. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything before, but she totally stood out to me in this film. Stole part of the show, I would say, as well. For most of the people in the film, she is woman police officer Gladys, because you have to denote the fact that she is a woman police officer. And obviously many of the townspeople make comments about that too, and the absurd nature of having a woman police officer. Why would you ever be a police officer? How did they let a woman become a police officer? Well, must not let you have handcuffs or anything either, I just, the way that she takes so much of this in stride, having this background of having a father who was involved with law enforcement and whatnot, to her job and her duty are something she takes pride in. And for so many people, it's something they're so quick to dismiss or so quick to belittle. And so watching some of these women kind of behind the scenes, getting together, trying to figure out what's really going on, because clearly the men aren't interested in actually doing any work to discover anything. They want to just pin it on the Irish woman. It's just too easy, So watching these women come together, these women who have also had horrible things said about them, who have assumptions made about their characters, about their abilities, it's really cool, empowering, and enjoyable to watch them push back against some of those old bastards. I won't say too much more about the movie because it did kind of keep me guessing. It did. It's a little mystery. I wouldn't say it's, anything that's so like, oh, who done it? It's going to be the greatest mystery of the year. But I think the story that follows it really caught me off guard, really surprised me in a great way. And I left feeling better than I thought I would going into this movie. So Wicked Little Letters, directed by Thea Sharrock. It's playing limited release now. I imagine it'll probably be on VOD soon. If you like British films, if you like some of that British humor, or if you have an interest too in women's stories and, this kind of little tale of, during the suffragette movement, looking at this pocket of time and this pocket in this place where you can see the battle that women are still facing and the opinions of men who, again, are starting to lose their power. And, Timothy Spall, man. That's all I'm going to say. Peter Pettigrew, they knew what they were doing when he cast him as that role. He's just a little weasel here, too. He's a little rat. He is. He's great, but he's a freaking rat. I don't like it. Thank you guys again for checking out another review. You can find us, NT Movie Reviews, on all social media networks, podcast platforms, and on YouTube. Thank you guys again. We've got so much great stuff coming out. Seattle International Film Festival starts next month, which I'm super stoked for. Stay tuned. There's going to be so much good things coming. Thank you again, as always, for listening, and have a great day.